Hello everyone, and I'd like to thank for the opportunity to present this very interesting workshop. And I'll start by briefly summarizing the content of the talk. So the main interest of most of you here is to get rid of the galactic foreground emission, while to me, that's the most interesting part. So I'm mainly interested in modeling the synchrotron emission to get information about the galactic magnetic field and the cosmic rays. The concept is the following. So cosmic ray electrons and positrons spiral in the galactic magnetic field, producing synchrotron emission seen in radio and microwaves. The problem is that neither cosmic rays or magnetic field are known, and that's actually what I want to obtain. In addition, in radio and microwaves, cosmic rays and magnetic fields are degenerate. So to try to solve this issue, I try to model the temperature and polarization of the large-scale synchrotron emission in a coherent way, let's say, by accounting for multi-frequency observations from radio, microwaves, gamma rays, and also for cosmic ray direct measurements. To model all of this data, I develop and I use GALPROP, which is a cosmic ray propagation code, which is largely used by the scientific community from radio to gamma rays and also for studies of cosmic rays. And recently, we have extended the GALPROP code to calculate the temperature and polarization synchrotron emission and to account for 3D models of the galactic magnetic field. Here, I reported some references on the method and on selected results that I'm also going to present today. So, okay, this is the well-known 408 megahertz map, and it is usually used as a special template for component separation in microwaves, and usually with the assumption of a spectral index of -3 for the synchrotron emission for the entire galaxy. But we know that synchrotron intensity depends on the magnetic field intensity and on the electron density, while synchrotron spectrum depends on the cosmic ray spectrum and on the magnetic field intensity as well. So realistically, the synchrotron spectrum may change in different regions of the sky. And to complicate this picture, we have also that the observed synchrotron emission is the integration along the line of sight, actually. So because we don't know cosmic ray electrons and magnetic field at the various places of our galaxy, electrons and magnetic field are fully degenerate. And so from the consequence is that from the synchrotron emission alone, we cannot gain information or cosmic rays or magnetic field at the same time without knowing the one or the other one. And unfortunately, our knowledge of the cosmic ray electron spectrum distribution in the galaxy has the same uncertainty than the knowledge of the magnetic field. So our approach is to study cosmic rays and magnetic fields together at the same time. So I combine the various multi-frequency observations from radio, microwaves, and gamma rays of the interstellar emission, and also taking the latest cosmic ray direct measurements, such as from Voyager and MSO2, as we see here. And I use GALPROP, or cosmic ray propagation code, for modeling the propagation of cosmic rays and associated interstellar emission. So GALPROP is around CS98 with Strong and Moskalenko as the original developers. And it models all cosmic ray species and gamma rays. And recently we have extended the synchrotron emission, including temperature and polarization calculation with stocks I, U, and Q, and including also the magnetic field configuration, with a random component, a regular, and also accounting for an anisotropic random component. We also included absorption, so we can go also to lower latitudes and in the galactic plane, which would not possible otherwise. So in this way, the aim is that cosmic ray electrons and positrons and magnetic fields can be modeled at the same time. And this actually worked somehow in the past. So the best model of the spectral model from our work, we used that spectral model for the component separation of the officially released Planck maps. And but why do we use also gamma rays? This is the sky in gamma rays, seen by Fermi Large Area Telescope above 1 GeV, and this is in galactic coordinates. So cosmic rays propagating in the galaxy produce not only synchrotron emissions in radio and microwaves, but also gamma ray interstellar emission, which is diffuse as well. And more than 60% of the photons that we see in gamma rays are coming from diffuse interstellar emission, with a higher contribution in the galactic plane, as you see here. And the picture is the following. So cosmic rays produce gamma rays, as you see here, via pion decay and Bremsstrahlung on the interstellar gas, and via inverse Compton on the CMB and interstellar photons. Each component have a peculiar spatial and spectral distribution, but they are very difficult to separate even in gamma rays. So the same cosmic ray electrons, as you see here, and positrons that produce the gamma rays produce also synchrotron emission in radio and microwaves by sparkling the galactic magnetic field. And usual standard models of the interstellar emission do not account for such a big picture. And they are usually like studies of magnetic fields, and cosmic rays are treated independently. So with this method here, we aim at accounting for the propagation of each cosmic ray species, and from heavier nuclei down to electrons and positrons, and so we can account for reacceleration processes, fragmentation, production of secondary cosmic rays, interactions with the interstellar medium, energy losses, diffusion, radioactive decay, and all of these processes, and they are all included in this picture. And the spectra of the various cosmic ray species at the location of the solar system should reproduce the cosmic rays direct measurements. So for additional details on the GALPROP propagation itself, or cosmic rays, and the implementation of the synchrotron emission, I suggest you, if you can have a look at the my talk of last year's at the same conference. And here I'm going to talk instead on the importance of the connection between radio and gamma rays. So this is again the approach, is to put together the gamma rays and radio and microwaves data in order to get information on cosmic rays and magnetic fields. So on the left, we see the synchrotron spectrum extending from radio to microwaves. And here on the right, we see the gamma ray spectrum produced by the same cosmic rays. So we have the, here in gamma rays, we have the inverse Compton component in green, the pion decay component in red, and the Bremsstrahlung component here in blue. The Fermi energy band is also shown here. As you see, the spectra of the components differ, and also the spatial distribution differs. And so the method with GALPROP is the following. So we use cosmic ray direct measurements to constrain injected spectra and propagation parameters for a given cosmic ray source distribution, which is best constrained with gamma rays. And we assume a gas distribution to produce the secondary particles, and that are also important for synchrotron emission. And we also need the magnetic field model and interstellar photon distribution models. And all of these need to have a 3D formulation. And our knowledge of the galactic magnetic field comes from different and various observables, nowadays is still very limited. So it is believed that there are 3 components. So the regular component, the anisotropic random component, and the isotropic random component of the magnetic field. The regular component is traced by rotation measurements, and the parallel component of the rotation of the magnetic field, and by synchrotron polarization and temperature. The anisotropic component is traced in polarized synchrotron emission and also in synchrotron temperature, while the isotropic random component and also the turbulent component is traced by the temperature synchrotron emission. And synchrotron always traces the perpendicular part of the magnetic field along the line of sight. And so usually the sum of the regular and the anisotropic random component is called ordered magnetic field. So I'll show you here the procedure with that I used with the GALPROP code for modeling the synchrotron emission. So for a given cosmic ray spectrum, a given magnetic field, a given distribution of cosmic rays, and I can obtain the interstellar radiation fields, so the photons. I can obtain the propagation model parameters to input in GALPROP. Then I compare and fit first the model polarized emission with the data, for example, from Planck. And as a result, I obtain the coherent magnetic field intensity. And then by fixing the coherent magnetic field and then compare and fit the microwave radio temperature data, for example, the 408 megahertz map, and adjust the random component of the magnetic field. And I also investigate the profiles, the maps and the spatial map, and also the profiles and the spectra. So anytime the magnetic field is adjusted, I have to run again GALPROP and refit also all the inputs, the parameters, and I can also check the gamma rays. Let's see some examples here that show the importance of a consistently model also the large scale diffuse interstellar gamma ray emission. So within the Fermilab collaboration, we have modeled this diffuse emission, gamma ray emission with GALPROP, and on the left you see the data. Here on the right you see a model, one of the GALPROP models. And it is amazing how we can reproduce the data. And we found also some hints which are very interesting. And models with large propagation halo size, that means how far cosmic rays can travel before totally escaping the galaxy, are preferred. And also more cosmic rays in the other galaxy than usually assumed were preferred. And there was also evidence of some significant residuals. Residuals are defined as the difference between models and data. Let's see these residuals in more detail. So the red regions here, this is a map, Fermi map. The red regions here are the deficiencies of the model with respect to the data. So the data are producing much more photons than the model, while blue regions are the opposite. And you see some structures. So these are the so-called Fermi bubbles here. Still unexplained features. And some excesses, you can see also some excesses in the inner galaxy and also in the outer galaxy here. So the main discrepancies have been confirmed by many authors and with various analyses. But all models of the interstellar emission were very similar to each other, and most analyses have usually used the same or similar models, so it is not really surprising that they all give similar results. In the meantime, in radio and microwaves, we modeled with GALPROP the temperature and polarization synchrotron emission using different models of the magnetic fields and cosmic ray distribution, propagation halo sizes. And this is actually the, as far as we know, this is the first time that the total polarized synchrotron emission was modeled in with physically based cosmic ray propagation models. And so this is the 408 megahertz map and an example. And this is compared with the different models. So we used different propagation halo sizes, as you see here. And we use the different cosmic ray distributions here, as shown here, and different magnetic field models, which are not shown actually here. And curiously, we found that some hints for a large propagation halo size and more cosmic rays in the outer galaxy and evidence of some significant residuals. So if you remember what I said before, these results are very similar to the results that we found in gamma rays. So we actually start to believe that it is actually true. So with the same models, we get almost the same hints, both in radio and in gamma rays. And again, curiously, we found the Planck haze, also previously found in WMAP, that may be possibly associated with the Fermi bubbles. And we, as a Planck collaboration, attributed this emission to the synchrotron emission with some uncertainties, a lot of uncertainties due to other component contamination. So during the component separation procedure. So both structures in gamma rays and in microwave are still debated and unexplained. And indeed, GALPROP predicts small variations of the synchrotron spectral index in the different regions in the sky. But even if small, they can make a significant difference of a factor, or even of a factor of a few in the temperature and in the procedure of scaling the 408 megahertz map at higher or lower frequencies. And the figure here on the left shows the minimum spectral variation due to propagation effects from 408 megahertz to 23 gigahertz for the entire sky. And on the right, you can see the spectral index. This is the model for different latitudes. And the red, this red here dotted line shows the 408 megahertz frequency. And the spectral variation depends on models, but there is a common trend actually in all the models. And with a student of mine, Tommaso, we plan to work on the synchrotron spectral index modeling for this thesis. This is one of the latest results. It is the synchrotron spectrum for intermediate regions that is obtained with various cosmic ray propagation models that fit latest cosmic ray measurements, which are very precise from Voyager and MS-2 instruments. So I obtained the red spectrum by using also gamma ray spectral data together with latest cosmic ray measurements and synchrotron. The electrons and the spectrum of the electrons and positrons that underlines the red line here also fits gamma ray data. Other possible models substantially affect the synchrotron spectrum, as you see here, even of a factor of 2 in the Planck frequency band, if we want to scale the 408 megahertz map. And these are just a couple of recent models from this paper. With another student of mine, Ethan, we are investigating the effect of various propagation models to the spatial density of cosmic rays. Already back in 2013, we found that in order to fit the synchrotron polarized WMAP data shown here in black points, we had to increase the intensity of the regular component of the magnetic field. So we confirmed actually the presence of the anisotropic component of the magnetic field that was not traced by rotation, that is not traced by rotation measurements. And we found that this component should have almost the same intensity of the regular component traced by rotation measurements. And this result was also confirmed by using the Planck data later on. So recently, I checked if gamma ray data can be useful in determining the magnetic field together with synchrotron. And gamma ray inverse Compton templates that were usually used for the analysis of the Fermi-Lat data did not contain a proper formulation of the magnetic field. So in this work, we used the results of the magnetic field from our analysis in radio and microwave, and we checked the effects on the inverse Compton templates, the special templates in gamma rays. So let's see the effect. The three maps here show the spatial template of the inverse Compton residuals between a standard model, which is called old, and a new model with the updated magnetic field. So left to right for 30 MeV, 1 GeV, and 10 GeVs. And differences here at 10 GeVs are more than 30%. And blue regions mean enhanced emission of the updated model. So that means that the old model was underestimating the inverse Compton component in the inner region. And so we saw that the updated models, in fact, as were constrained by the synchrotron emission, produced a brighter emission in the inner galaxy than predicted by standard models. And the difference we find also that the difference increases with energy. So also gamma rays can be used to contain actually information on the magnetic field. And for your information, many authors found an enhanced inverse Compton component over the galactic center than predicted by standard model by analyzing the Fermi data. So they also find that we also find actually in the Fermi collaboration that this increase, this enhanced inverse Compton component was increasing with energy. So if this is due to unresolved sources or to dark matter, for example, was not clear, so we show that it may also be attributed to the galactic magnetic field. Here we see spectral predictions for the next possible MEV telescopes, such as Gecko and Amigo. So we extended our model to lower energies, and we also show the importance of gamma ray observations at lower energies. And the plot here shows that below 100 MeV, this is almost 100 MeV, the dominant component is inverse Compton, the green line. And data points here show the Fermi energy band. So cosmic ray electrons and magnetic field will be better traced in this energy band than in the Fermi-Lat energy band, which are higher. There are also other components here. So hopefully this new data will also be important for synchrotron emission studies. So let's hope this one or even both missions will be approved. So I'll come back to the conclusion of the talk with the summary here already included. And I thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to take your questions.